a bunch of horses.
Hey, Jam, you said yesterday you were going to go, that Kimmy told you better go out there fast. What did you do today?
We went fast, but not. The mare was just super. She's so good about just staying rhythmical and jumping out of stride. I mean, I don't think I took a tug anywhere out there today, and she's not the fastest horse, on the racetrack, but she's fast enough because I don't really have to slow her down. She does all that on her own.
Our next horse down the arena.
Thank you. You look good out there.
Number 279, Mary Hunson, and Guinness sitting in second place on the score of 28.9 in that senior novice rider division.
Waiting for that. Did the course ride like you expected it to?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it really did feel like the perfect course to get ready for a big show, like Ian said. The horses just seemed to feel better after every third. They were just a little bit better, a little bit better. The only thing that surprised me a little bit was they didn't really find the end to this lower water, or at least my mare didn't, and so we kind of jumped in there off one leg. But it's a good practice to know that she'll do it for me by the seat of our pants when that time comes. So, but all in all, it was a great track, and she definitely finished feeling confident and strong, and tried to kill everybody in the vet box, which is always a good sign.
And you feel prepared for Kentucky from this?
Of course I don't feel prepared for Kentucky, John. Nobody feels prepared their first time. I don't think there's anything else I would want to do to feel better, but I'm not saying I'm going to sleep really well every night between now and then.
And how long have you had this mare, and what had she done before you had her?
Waylon Roberts took her around a 2-star in the spring of 13, and then I forget when exactly she got to the farm, but our first run together was we ran the intermediate at Rebecca Farms in 2013.
Double clear round, a time of 79 seconds. We are running ahead of schedule here at Stadium, but we're trying to do that in order to have a nice water so you guys don't have to eat dust.
And have you always felt she was a 4-star horse?
Well, being I've never really felt one of those. No, I thought she was awesome, but I've been really lucky. I've had other advanced horses before, and I've always had the little voice in the back of my mind going around at advanced horse trials and 3-stars on those guys going, this is all it is. And every time I've taken the mare around.
Number 277, Karen, riding Olympic Journey, sitting in 6th place on 34.6.
Every time I've taken the mare around an advanced or a 3-star, I always come off feeling like, well, that could have been anything. And to me, that's what tells me she's the 4-star horse. It's the one to try it on, is because the little voices haven't warned me of anything just yet.
Don't make that read that I hear voices.
His voice. We all know that. Yeah. It's okay.
We all hear voices. And Heather, you had an absolutely great round today on your young horse. Tell us about your round.
He's just a great little guy. I love him. He really stepped up. I mean, I expected him to go around great, and he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. And he was a little tired at the end. He's not very fit, but and it was getting a little warm about 10 o'clock. So no, he was absolutely super and finished great, and was little speed demons around. So no, he was great. I couldn't have been happier with him.
And Ian's course, did it ride like you expected? Did you feel that he got, as Jam just said, more confident as he went?
Yeah, definitely for him. He's green. I was a little bit worried. Really the first combination on the 1-star was those angled brushes, and so I was a little bit worried with that. That was kind of tough, the first sort of combination on the course. And he sort of questioned. He sort of said, is this what I'm doing? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, here we go. So I thought that was kind of a hard first question for the 1-star, but after that he we had the bounce up out of water, which you don't really see. It's becoming new at this level, out of the water, and he had a little bobble there actually in the spring. It was on the training course in January. And he had a little bobble there, and so I was really had to make sure that I got that right. It was a one stride then, it was a bounce now, so I was proud of him there. And then once we got going, 3 minutes, he clocked around just amazing.
And where do you see going with him from here?
Well, he's owned by Elizabeth Rader, who is an amateur who just bought him the middle of last year. And I'm hoping he's actually scheduled to be shipped back to Texas on Friday. And so I'm hoping that we will see her taking over the reins and getting back in the saddle and doing some stuff with him now this year. So she hasn't competed in about 12 or 13 years. She just bought him. She's kind of getting back in the sport. So she's hopefully we'll see her in the saddle.
Good horse to get back into it with.
Oh, he's awesome.
Say so.
Yeah.
Say so.
And JM, this format, the two-star format in which you go in the descending order. Well, actually, let me ask just both of you. What is it like to do that? To know what's happened? Or do you know what's happened before you? I mean, especially the ones right behind you because they're on course where you're starting. How does it feel to ride in this format, which obviously we don't usually do?
I think it makes it more fun. I'm personally one who rides a little better under pressure. I tend to get, as was kindly printed about me yesterday, I have a habit of stopping and smelling the daisies sometimes when I don't feel the pressure. So for me, it's, if there's somebody breathing down my neck, I'm going to go for it. And I think, especially with this mare who really responds to that ride and that adrenaline and that going and getting it done, that's what makes her the best. So for me, it makes it a lot better.
Pressure's good.
Yeah, pressure's good.
Like being the last one in the warm-up there.
Yeah, it's like, me and Jimmy.
Does it get a little lonely in the warm-up ring?
Lonely, but I like lonely. Lonely in the warm-up ring's good.
Yeah, that was Cassidy Wallace.
It's motivating when you're out there with Jimmy, who, he's riding for down.
Taking him 77 seconds. In the arena now, the cutest thing on four legs, number 274, Jordan
well,
Rainbow and Wildwood.
Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. I appreciate it. And we'll wait for some others to come now. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the arena now, number 281, Kelly Hart.
Well, Ian, can you give us an overview of what you saw today and what you thought of how the course you designed this weekend rode, both for the 3 and the 2 and the 1?
Yeah, we'll start off with a 1-star. There was a lot of introduction to sort of 2 and 3-star type fences, but at a smaller level. So it was fairly demanding for the 1-star, but I thought the riders coped with it well. There was a bit of trouble out there, probably most trouble in the 1-star, but it was widespread, and you would expect that or hope for that it was widespread. But and there were sort of silly mistakes more than anything else. Nothing sort of major, nothing that worried me. But I thought the riders coped well with the questions that I'd asked them. The 2-star, I always find that the most difficult level to design for, because you've got a mixture of horses and riders that are just moving up and maybe having their first go at 2-star, and then you've got the established ones that are ready to move on to 3-star. So you're really testing all abilities, both in the riders and the horses. But I think you have to be careful not to sort of play down the course, because it's got to be off the appropriate level. But again, I thought the riders go well. I didn't think there was that much trouble out there. I thought I was quite impressed, really. And the 3-star, I have to say, I saw some great riding today, some really cracking riding, some great horses, and it wouldn't be the toughest CIC 3-star track I've produced, but there was plenty of decent questions out there, and even the sort of fly fences, the let-up fences, they were all sort of maximum height and spreads, and and I thought the riders rose to the challenge. I was seriously impressed with them, and I just, I don't get to the east coast of America that much, but the standard and the level of cross-country riding, in particular in the west coast of the States, has just improved out of all recognition. And I think it shows, because there's quite a handful of them going to Rolex this year. Come on, get typing faster.
In the 2-star, the Shamu didn't seem to cause any trouble. Were you surprised by that?
I know, the old bugger let me down. I thought he was going to catch somebody. But, I thought that water complex, because they were into the water, out over the skinny brush, back in over another log, and then the Shamu, I thought that would actually be quite testing. But the riders rode it really well. Although it was a sort of S-shaped combination, they rode it like a gymnastic exercise, and the horses were all just jumping. And to the Shamu, there was some went on 3 strides and some went on 4 strides, and it didn't seem to matter what they did, but the horses read it, understood it, and stayed on their line. So maybe I need to get some fresh paint on the Shamu and make him a bit shinier, and so look out in November. He might be sort of yellow with polka dots or something. Could be different. I need to do something, get him a little bit more spook in there.
And in the 2-star, the time was very hard to make. In fact, I believe only Barb made the time, but in the 3 there were 5 or 6 that made the time. Well, what do you think the difference was?
Sitting in 3rd place in senior novice rider on a 29.6.
I think it doesn't surprise me. I think the 3-star, as I've already said, the standard of the riding was very good, and the horses were good, and they were all staying in a rhythm. And as I said, it wasn't the most technical 3-star track I've done. It was a lot of galloping, and even the combinations were attacking. So they were able to keep up a good pace, and they didn't. There wasn't a lot of places that they had to really throttle back and put the horses back in the hocks and waste time. Whereas the 2-star, I think, was more technical and a bit twistier. So it was obviously going to inevitably cause more time problems. But I think the 2-star had to, level for level, the 2-star had to work harder than the 3-star. But I wanted the 3-star, I think I said beforehand, I wanted it to be a good introduction for the younger horses, and an enjoyable sort of final run for horses heading to Kentucky. And I think it did that. I think it's given, the horses finished with a smile on their face, and the riders are happy, and that's a confidence booster, whether it's young horses moving on to another of the same level, or the big boys going on to 4-star. So I'm happy with the outcome, but I think level for level, the 3-star was probably the softest of the 3. But I'm not saying it was a walk in the park. There was plenty out there to jump, and I gave them a lot of opportunities to make a bollocks of it, if you're allowed to say that. But they didn't. They rode incredibly well.
Here she comes.
And let's change gears to Woodside. What were your first impressions of the park and everything there, and where do you see things going?
I'm really nervous about answering this one, because I think I upset them all when I went up to Woodside in January. I walked in, and my first impression of the place was, wow, it's like a giant arena event. There was this bowl with fences everywhere, tracks everywhere, and I thought, oh, yikes. This isn't what I was expecting, because everyone told me there was more terrain there. And once I sort of got over the initial have to say slight disappointment in what I saw. Then I was able to spend time and walk around, and then I found all the corners and the trees and the terrain and tucked away out of the bowl. And so what I've tried to do there is open up the course, and I think they spent a week, if not 2 weeks, clearing up fallen dead trees, and I'm probably very unpopular with the driving fraternity around there because I've removed or demolished all their driving obstacles, because they had the best bits of ground and I wanted it for the eventers. So the end result is that I think I've got more flowing tracks for me that I'm happier with, and we've used a lot of new bits and pieces of ground and terrain, and there was one particular big flat area that hasn't been used ever for eventing, but there was a big driving obstacle on it, and I said I wanted to take the obstacle away and make a big water jump, and everyone sort of was gasping in horror, and because there's a water shortage and everything else, they thought I wouldn't get away with it. But I believe the locals were actually quite positive about it, and Joan, whatever her name is, one of the local residents whose concerns are for the park and the natural state of it, love the idea of the water. So the fact that she's on board is a big plus. Then I was concerned because I'm spending quite a lot of money, but the ladies up there have been phenomenal. They've been very supportive, and everything I want to do, they've sort of come on board, and now they're fundraising like mad to raise the money to let me do what I want to do. So my initial reaction was yikes, but I've come away from it, and I can't wait to get back. Got the event in May, and I wasn't going to be there because it's a national event, the May one, but I've had a chat with Robert Kellerhouse, and he's found the money to fly me over in May, so I'll be there for the event, and then I can plan the alterations for the CIC in October. But I think it was important, having done a new track, it's important that I get there to see how it rides, because I've never actually been to the event before, and I've now been on site, but haven't actually seen anybody ride the courses. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. It's very exciting. And there's some pretty good restaurants around there as well. Always thinking about my stomach.
The community is very, very supportive of the event. It's amazing, it really is.
Yeah, it appears to be. I mean, I haven't met that many of them yet, but everyone I did meet, they were incredibly positive about everything I wanted to do, and it's just a beautiful area, and the ones I've met, great people. So, I think it's exciting. As I say, I can't wait to get there and watch the competition.
I had the exact same reaction as you the first time I drove in there.
Yeah, but I bet you didn't voice it like I did.
I did to my wife.
Yeah, well, I did to all the members of the board, which horrified them.
It doesn't run like you're going around the bowl.
No.
So the amazing thing about what Derek has always done is it feels like you're in a great, it feels like even more than here.
Yes.
Because it's so expansive.
Yeah, it's huge. It is huge, and I think it's great. It just wasn't what I was expecting.
I wasn't either.
But once I got used to it, then it's fantastic. I think it's got all the potential to do whatever we want to do.
Double clear round, a time of 70 seconds.
So any idea how many
Joining us now, number
jumps
288.
How many new jumps I'm making? I'm using as many as I can of the old jumps and repositioning them, but I think Burwood, who's the builder, and his crew are going to be flat out busy. I couldn't tell you numbers, but the aim is to monopolize some of the old fences in May, and then have some new ones in for the October one, and then we'll gradually get more and more new ones in. But some of them are permanent, so the water and things like that are they have to be done full on straight away.
So if you're making a new water, are there going to be 3 waters now?
There will be 3 waters, but I'm not using the final one. I'm only using I'm using 2 of them for the 2 and 3 star, and a different 2 for the 1 and 2 star. No, sorry, get that wrong. I'm using one of the old waters, the one up if you're looking up towards the stabling, the one on the top left of the bowl, I'm using that for all the 1, 2, and 3 star. The new water for the 2 and 3 star, and the one by the gate in is only going to be 1 star. If you can follow that logic.
So basically, there will be 3 water complexes, but nobody
Yes.
will jump 3 water complexes.
Nobody jumps 3. Not this time round.
We had 2 jump ball, 2 time ball teams, no blue round.
Yeah.
A time of
You never
70
know what
seconds.
happens in the future.
In the arena now, number 306, Becky Lutz, riding the perfect current.
But the 3 star are using the new water twice. So they will in fact be using in and out of water 3 times.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add about the Woodside course?
No. I think it's exciting, and I'm you know, as I say, I'm excited, and I'm very honoured to be given the chance to work there. It's even more air miles across the Atlantic. Except my children seem to use them all up.
You do Rebecca now too, right?
Yeah. This will be my 3rd year at Rebecca. And then this year we've got the CCI 3 star for the first time.
Oh, they are.
2 CCI 2 star and CCI 3 star for the first time.
CCI 2 star and 3 star.
Yeah, as well as CIC 2 star and 3 star. So there's some new courses to do there. So I leave here tomorrow morning and I'm going up to Rebecca to work on that course for 4 days before I get home to have some skiing, some relaxation on the slopes.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Ian. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Jolie, this must be a tremendous finish for you after just having had your daughter. That was in September.
Yeah.
And so this is your first big event since then. And you've done this event several times with Goodnight. Tell us a little bit how it feels right now, having had a great run today.
It's great. I feel like I have kind of really come back now. It's taken. We entered here in the CCI 3 star in November, and I withdrew for the cross country phase because I didn't feel fit enough. The horse was going great. I had a really good dressage, and I just worried over my fitness because she was 8 weeks at that point, and so I was riding, I was doing well, but I was a little nervous. So things weren't quite back where they should be. So I've had all winter and now all spring, and I've kind of gotten my legs back underneath me now, and it feels great. Today was really one of the first cross country rounds since I've had the baby that I feel like this is right. Everything is really, really good, and we are right on track where we should be. So it was really excited.
And you've run Goodnight around here, what, half a dozen, 8 times probably?
Yeah.
How did he feel out there on the 3 star course today?
He was right on point. I thought he was great. Ian is really good about changing the tracks, and so we looped around and came back to the first water as our final water, and I think that always throws, even though this is home for us, it still is a new challenge and new jumps and different technicalities, and so I thought that Goodnight felt amazing. I thought he was listening really well. He was jumping out of stride really well, and we definitely were in sync, and I think Ian's courses gave us a great final prep for the big one.
In the arena now, number 364, Miss Connie Baxter of riding Rolex, sitting in 6th place on 35.9. For those of you who don't know, this is also the proprietor of another wonderful.
And you went quickly with him today. You went fast today.
I did.
You haven't always done that at this event. What made you pull the plug today? What made you put him in gear and go today?
Well, I usually don't at this event because I want him to be rideable for the next event. But I have to say that I don't know what it is. Maybe we took he had a very light year last year. He's just another year older. I don't know what the circumstances are. Maybe the training is finally coming where it should be, but he's been so rideable this year. The first 3 events I've been able to go fast on him, and so when I went out the box today, I was just like, well, I'd like to go fast, but I'm going to do what feels appropriate. And I was able to go fast. I was able to put my foot down on the gas pedal, and he listened the entire way around. So that's exciting. It's very exciting. I think he's a horse that can always make the time if he's rideable, if I can harness that power a little bit. And so far this year, he's been phenomenal. He's been like he is. He just feels great.
Connie Baxter Rolex putting in a double clear round. 0 jump, 0 time taken of 73 seconds.
13 this year. I want to say he's either 12 or 13. I think he's 13.
Maybe he's getting mature.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that ride.
Maybe
all those years of training are paying off. Huh?
Maybe he's finally, just training, and finally he's just going, yep, I don't have to be quite so excited about it all.
You had a lovely show jumping around yesterday too. You must have been thrilled with that.
I was really thrilled. I had a beautiful show jumping round. I had one stinking rail that was definitely my fault. I got a little tight and a little quick with my body, and it cost him the rail, and I feel bad for him because he is such a stellar show jumper and has always really kind of helped me out in that phase, and I feel like I a little bit let him down. I feel like we shouldn't have had that rail. But he's, when you go to Rolex, I'm actually kind of excited because the footing that they have in that ring is very similar to what they have at Rebecca Farms, and he always jumps incredible on that footing, just pings off the ground. And he always show jumps better after cross country. I typically have double clean show jumping rounds after at CCIs, and we can have a rail at CICs, so he's typically a little more settled.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. He's just that kind of horse.
And did you feel like Ian's course was a good prep today? Do you think it got you guys on your toes for it?
I do. I think Ian finds a really good balance between being technical and bold. And I think he also finds a really good balance between giving you a good prep and having enough, but not overdoing it so that you're questioning yourself. Because at this point, all of us that are heading to go to Rolex, we just need a final run. We don't need something that is really, really questionable. And he plays with that, I think, at the CCIs, which I think is so right, because that is the place to test it. But these courses, these spring courses, are just gearing you up for Rolex and for the next big event, whether that's Jersey, whatever. And I think he does that. So the course had enough to play with, enough to keep the horses aiming for the skinnies, going between the flags, enough turning questions. But it didn't overface them so that they're coming out the next time questioning. Now they're going to come out the next time even that much more confident. So Ian is really good at doing that, I think.
24/7 year-round.
Yeah. He makes you be bold, but it doesn't. But it's not too. It doesn't go too far. But it gets the horses opened up and going.
Horses, safe, fun, and competitive weekend. Please stop by and meet them at their village.
He's genius.
I think so too. Yeah, because in a lot of those combinations and a lot of the distances, you have to go. Yep, go.
You walk and you think,
Go.
really?
Yeah. Well, and I think.
bet he doesn't mean for me to add here.
And I think, yeah, exactly. Sometimes it almost walks a little. Sometimes when I walk his courses, I do question a little bit because I think sometimes they do walk on a half stride. They do, but they don't jump like they're in a half stride. They don't, and so you have to go. No, it's not. It's not 5. It's 4. You got to trust it a little bit, and you've got to ride it like that. And for a horse like for Ari, for Goodnight, it's great. He loves Ian's courses because I can let go of him. I can ride him like that. He appreciates it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We'll see you at Kentucky.
Let's knock on wood.
Fingers crossed.
Let's knock on wood.
There's a message.
So James, Jolie was just telling us that this feels like a comeback for her. Does it feel like a little bit of a comeback for Tivoli?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. You know, I haven't. He's won a lot, I guess, over the years, but it's been a while. Yeah, so it's nice for sure. I think I'd forgotten what it felt like, but no, it was good. It was good to be back on him, and you know, he's a really. Like he's won, like I say, he's won a lot before, and he's a really quality horse. And as long as I stay out his way and let him do his thing, he's always competitive.
Ian was saying that he thought his course was not the most technical CIC he's ever built, and he wasn't too surprised by the number of people who made it without time faults, who made the time. What do you think of that evaluation? How did the course ride for you as far as the time?
Yeah, I think it was certainly near the end, especially there were some really long galloping stretches on the racetrack, where if you've got a fast horse, you know, you can sort of, you know, you can. Yeah, I think there were 2 sort of steep, like fly fences type of thing on the racetrack there. So I think you could go pretty quick that part for sure. And yeah, no, I think I think. That part really was the quickest part of the course, I thought, and if you're having a good round for sure, you could let him go quickly. The ground was good, I thought, so I think more people were inclined to go fast and take advantage of that.
Get some water.
And you missed a year or so of competition with Tivoli, didn't you?
Do we have anyone ready?
What was that because of his soundness, or what caused that?
Well, actually, it was sort of a bit of, it was sort of ownership, I guess. Partly that, and then partly we've had some issues with the feet, but we had an operation to take a chip out, and he seems back on song now. So it was sort of a combination of reasons, really. But yeah, glad to have him back now.
I bet you are. Yeah. Did you miss riding that fabulous horse around big courses like this? Did you miss that?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I think he's definitely a fantastic cross-country horse and so scopy. So I think you know, obviously I've had other horses as well, but then I think yeah, he makes big jumps feel not big, which is a very nice feeling, you know. And if you make a bit of a mistake, you know, he's got so much jump that it's not such a big deal, maybe, where on some other horses that are near the edge of what they can do, you know, it is more of a big deal.
If you're on a horse, you need to exit the warm-up now. That would include you. There you go. In the arena now, number 298, Lindsay Gordon, riding Maybelline.
And now you're going on to Kentucky. You're aiming him for Kentucky. What do you feel his prospects are there? How competitive do you think you're going to be with him?
Yeah, I think he went 2 years ago, and I think he had like 7 time penalties, and I think he was 8th overnight, and then failed the trot up, and that was sort of the start of the time off for him. So, and he can be a pretty good show jumper too. So he could have finished quite well that year. He certainly has the potential, I think, to do all 3 phases and be competitive. But you know, at that level, you know, little mistakes could be costly, and I've got to. You know, I know he'll do his job probably. I just have to ride him right, and yeah, like I say, the margins for error are pretty small when you get there. So hopefully, you need a bit of luck on your side too.
And did you feel this course was the preparation you wanted for going to Kentucky, and why?
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, I went quickly, which I wanted to do for his fitness, and also, you know, to try and get my eye and going a bit quicker. You know, with an eye to go pretty quickly at Rolex 2, and then there's a lot of water jumps, which is good for him because sort of in his old age, he sort of learned to jump quite steeply into water, which can be good. It can be helpful, but you know, if you have a related distance, which is a bit long, it can also be, you know, a bit of an issue. So it was good to have all those jumps into water and just get a feel for how he's going to jump in off the big drops at Rolex, and how hard and how fast I need to come in, I guess, to those big drops into water.
Did he jump this steeply today?
Yeah, I mean, he's funny. Yeah, he's sort of developed this really efficient jump into water because he's very exuberant mostly everywhere else. He really pings everything, but into water he drops just quite steeply in. And certainly this water over here, there's not a big drop, but there's a little one, and he sort of, you know, came down quite steeply. But I spoke with Derek about it and said, is that something I should fix? And he said it can be a help. So I guess I don't know what to make of that, but I guess I'm going to leave it as it is.
Derek said it can be a help.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I wasn't going to tell you.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was trying to read into what's going to happen.
And is Tivoli still as exuberant a horse otherwise as he's always been? Do you still have to really work on preparing him for the dressage test, ride him 3 or 4 or 5 times before your test? Is he still that high-powered, high-energy horse?
Sure, yeah. He's a funny mix because on the ground and hacking around at home, you know, you could put a toddler on him. He's very, very easy, very sweet around the barn, but you know, and at home he's actually quite quiet these days for the flat work for the most part. But when he comes to a show, he thinks first day, I think, is cross-country day for sure. I think I don't know, but he gets very excited for sure. So I know if I have enough time. Some of these shows it's quite tricky because I don't necessarily have the time to give him the work he needs to do a relaxed dressage. Like at Twin, you know, if the advance starts kind of early in the morning or something, I'm in trouble.
There's only so early.
Right, exactly. But I think here, you know, and at the bigger shows, you know, you have plenty of time, so you can prepare him the right way, and then he's fairly reliable, really. I shouldn't say that, but for the most part.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done, and good luck at Kentucky.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You said yesterday you're going to go as fast as your horses told you you should go. How did that work out today?
So it actually worked out great. I went out and just let each of them establish the pace and let them tell me, you know, how fast they wanted to keep going, and each of them pretty much came in right on time. The Super Sox horse came in right on optimum, so that's great. And then Happenstance and Bellicoso came in a couple of seconds over. So considering that I was just sort of not watching my watch and letting them take me, I thought that was, I felt really good about that they wanted to be at that pace. And both, I mean, all 3 of them, but especially Happenstance was pulling me the whole first half. He was raring to go, which I was very excited about, given it's his first 3-star.
Bellicoso looked fabulous going around, but you had enough time faults that Barb overtook you. Was that disappointing, or how did the day feel for you?
Well, I think it's always hard when you're in first and you give it up. But my plan for him was just to have a good round and to test his fitness. So I think I easily could have pushed him a little bit and made the time. I knew that Barb wasn't going to have time. Like, that just was a given. So I knew that if I took that approach that he could have some time and move down a bit. But this is his first FEI competition since his break last year. And so I just wanted to make sure he had a good go, and jogged up good afterwards, and he looked great, felt great around the course. So that makes me feel good going into, we'll go to Fair Hill before Jersey, and going into those events, I feel like he's okay for me to start pushing him.
And he had, what was his injury? You don't have to be incredibly specific, but
he had just the startings of a bone bruise. So it wasn't anything soft tissue. He just, there was some hard footing last year, and it was pretty mild, but we gave him the whole, 3 or 4 months. I forget what it was. So we were extra cautious with him. I have high hopes for him, so we wanted to take our time and really get him back strong.
He looked like he was just sort of playing with the two-star course. Looked like he was just completely in hand. Is that how he felt?
Oh yeah, no, the couple of CIC 3-stars that he did last year, he felt super. And so this course was, a good 2-star course, but I think well within his, comfort zone. And that's what it felt like. It felt like he was just out for a gallop and having fun. And I'm glad that he still feels, that confident. And that makes me feel good going into the CIC 3-star at Fair Hill and then the CCI 3-star at Jersey.
And Happenstance won the 2-star here last year, and this was his first 3-star. Do you feel like he's grown since then?
Happenstance just amazes me. Each event, I still feel like our partnership is fairly young. I've been on him for a couple of years now, but I think that he's been changing a lot this last year. Today, coming out from the barn, he was full of himself. My working student had to lead him down to the cross country because I was finishing up with Super Sox, and I think that she was kind of taking her life into her own hands because he knew that it was cross country day and was rearing and kicking out, and they basically had to throw me up on him, and I had to canter off. And the whole first half of the course, he was feeling the same way. Just let me go. So that horse is so ready and so confident. He just amazes me.
John Cameron putting in 0, jump ball 0, time ball 8, double clear round and time up.
And Super Sox also felt great.
And you're in now, number 3.
Yeah, no, he's a very different type of jumper than Bellicoso and Happenstance. Bellicoso and Happenstance both really over jump, and Super Sox is a much more efficient jumper. I think Leslie said something like he's just a good Irish bloke. He does what he needs to do to get the job done. And so he's very efficient across the ground. But for him also, it just doesn't feel, it didn't feel difficult for him today, which, considering that I'd like to aim him for some bigger shows, that it makes me feel confident about being able to do that.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll see you later.
All right.